Yaira number 2 from the Soska Sisters in the Rippaverse. So, this is the official continuation to Yaira number 1, which we got around, I think, around this time last year, maybe a little later. We got Yaira number 1. It's a little smaller this time, and that is kind of the route they're going to go now with these books because they want to get them out more, they get more books out, which does actually make more sense. It felt like a pretty good amount. Yaira number 2. This is the continuation of what happened at the end of the first book, and that is where Yaira defeated the 2 or 3, I suppose, villains that were chasing her around from her home world or wherever she's from. And this book does pick up on that, but it continues on, and we initially get teased, especially with, like, I got cover B right here. We do get teased that Magnus Newmite, I believe that is his name, is the big bug guy, will be making a big return for this book, and it's kind of like partly true. I'm not going to really tell you how exactly that is in this section of the video. So my videos, I'm going to first kind of, give my non-spoiler thoughts about the book, and then I'll get into spoilers later in the video so I can actually talk about some of the stuff in the book this time, because I feel like that is kind of a better route to go for these reviews that I do for the Rippaverse, because a lot of people want to hear about, actually, like, details of what's actually happening in the book. So initially, though, non-spoilers in this part, I didn't enjoy the book that much. I'll be completely honest. I feel about it the same way as I felt about the first book, and I don't know why. There's little bits in there that I think are pretty fun. Like, especially some of the art. The art's fun. It looks really action-packed and filled with just stuff happening. And I mean, they do lots of fun, cool-looking stuff in this book. I mean, it looks cool. So no doubt on that one. But Yaira number 2, I just feel, I think it's a little better than the first one. It's not like by much, because I feel like it's kind of just on the same level. But I think the one significant thing that's better in this book is that Yanessa and Yantoni, I think that's their names, some of the main antagonists of book 1 are not in this one. They're just, at least at the moment, in the story, they're kind of gone. If you know what happened to them at the end of the first book, they're not in the book. I'm glad they're not there. I didn't enjoy them in the first book. I don't know. I enjoy Magnus Newmite a lot more. The big bug guy. I think he's a lot cooler. So that's definitely the better antagonist, at least for me. It's more fun to read what's going on with him. It's just so much more interesting with all the bugs he sends out and stuff. But the 2 antagonists from the first book, I didn't like them that much. The dialogue was, like, kind of strange. It's like they were just kind of, like, yelling at Yaira, like, basic stuff throughout the whole book, just yelling at her and, I don't know, just chasing her around the whole book. It was really strange, and there was obviously not much context because we didn't really know much about their connection to Yaira, and we still really don't. We got a little bit more of an idea of what, this world might have been looking like. But the big thing that I didn't like in book 1 was those 2, and they aren't in this book, so that is the better bit. But it still kind of just felt like the same type of story, which it's supposed to be, obviously. So, I mean, if you really liked, the first book, it's a great continuation into the next chunk of the story. You got Altona back from Isam. She's part of Yaira's story, really, at least so far, with Projexis and all that. But this book, I really felt like it was just way too chaotic. I don't know how to really describe it, I guess in detail, but I just felt like it was just one thing to the next that almost felt not connected. Like, you'll have a bit where you're following some of the Neptune storyline that we obviously got teased at the end of book 1, and now we're suddenly in a battle with another whole thing in an instant, and you were in a whole different chunk of story in one moment, and then you're like literally one page later, you're in another. It's not like another cutaway section of the story. It's like the same, you're following the same character, and suddenly they've popped up in another battle or whatnot. And it was kind of off-putting to me. Maybe it's just my own, like, weirdness about it. Maybe it's just a style of, because obviously I'm not a comic reader. I do bring that up a lot because I do not have that perspective of comics and comic storytelling and how it's told. So perhaps that's just a thing that's kind of done in comics. I'm not going to say it is or isn't, but it just felt very chaotic to me. It's like so many things at once that I kind of wanted to follow one thing smoothly, and I don't feel like I got that in this book. And then there's some Alphacore stuff in this, of course, because they were pretty heavily in the first one, and there's some stuff in there that I also really I didn't like the Alphacore stuff, and I really like Alphacore. I do. I really like Alphacore. I love the first book and look forward to the second one. And I've liked a lot of their appearances, but I do not like the Alphacore stuff in this. And I will get to that more in the details of the spoiler-ish section here of the video. So that's my non-spoiler thoughts really about the book. I'm not getting into the story. I just don't think it's my thing. At least as of yet. We'll see. It's not like awful. It's not awful or anything. I think if you like the first one especially, you'll like the second one. It's a good continuation of the plot they set up in the first one. But yeah, it's just I really wanted to like Yaira, and so far I'm just not feeling it so far. But if we get into some of the spoilers, which I will now get into some spoilers, so if you haven't read the book yet, probably want to click away. But some spoilers for the book. So Magnus Numite, the big bug guy, I don't think it's really clear what happens to him in this book. He kind of appears as nightmares for Yaira. And we get that early in the book, and several of the times she's having these nightmares, and he appears as like these nightmares, and then there's the big battle at the end with Magnus Numite for like a moment, but then it's like her creating chaos really, and she's actually battling these nightmares, and that's kind of the only stuff we really get for him. He kind of pops up just every now and then, and it just seems to be like a big dream. So I'm thinking he still might be dead. But again, I don't think it was made totally clear, but I do think we were setting up a different antagonist to come later in the story. So that was a really interesting part to me. And I mean, I hope I do like whatever that story is, because I mean, some antagonists out there creating nightmares for Yaira, and doing this to Yaira and making her look insane because she's creating all these like weather events and stuff because she's trying to fight this imaginary thing is fascinating. The Neptune stuff, I didn't really feel much for. It wasn't really my thing. And as I said earlier with the non-spoiler stuff, we went from like following Neptune and Yaira going into the depths to Atlantis to, find Neptune, because that's who ended up saving her at the end of the first book. And that's kind of her journey in this book, is she's trying to find Neptune. And she does find him, I believe. I don't think that was a nightmare, but she does find him in Atlantis, and his wife that's like locked up, and then you have their sons that are like all like evil and stuff now fighting them, right? We have that going on, and then Neptune kind of like is betraying his wife, or like going against his wife's wishes and keeping her captive to keep her safe or whatnot, and then he just kind of like swims away, and Yaira chases after him, and then suddenly we're in this big battle with Magnus Numite, or maybe like a dream Magnus Numite or whatnot. Maybe Yaira got taken over by like a nightmare vision. But suddenly like we're literally in a battle with him out of nowhere in the city. Like instantly almost. And we're completely stripped from the story of Yaira, discovering all of the Neptune stuff. I thought that was really quick and strange. And I didn't really enjoy that bit. But something I did like in the book, though, I will say I did like this, is the new character of Yusha, or is right here, Yusha, new character. It's her friend from her home world, whatever she's on. We have a few flashbacks in this book, and we get a few panels of some flashbacks of Yaira and this new character, her friend, and you see them together, and Yaira wants to use her abilities, and kind of, even though it seems like she's not allowed to. And then we get another flashback that's with them a little older, and she's ready to leave her home world and go off, and then she would be branded as like a traitor if she did so. So I thought that stuff was interesting, and I actually want to know more about that. And I actually didn't mind her new friend that kind of just appeared. When Yaira was trying to discover Atlantis, she was underwater, she came back up, and her friend was just standing on the beach. He was just there. Really, really just weird. But I guess it's fine. Whatever. But yeah, that's kind of how he pops up. So there's not really like a grand introduction to him. She literally like pops up from a swim, and he's just standing there yelling her name. So that's how he shows up. The Sally Rodell Net projects this stuff with Altona and Yaira and all that stuff, trying to discover Atlantis was okay. And again, that was kind of a big chunk of the story up until that final bit there in Under the Water when she was discovering Neptune, and he was like keeping his wife captive in a way to keep her safe. And then it, switched the battle at the end, which was weird. But that was a big chunk of it, and it was okay. I didn't mind it all that much. It's probably more of the interesting stuff. The Neptune specific stuff when they went down under the water was more just kind of like whatever for me. But the stuff I actually disliked the most in this book, the second one, was I did not like Alphacore. The normal members of Alphacore, the 3 that we know, Ingrid, Braxwell, Brian, we know them, and then we have Stefania, who was added to Alphacore in a weird way at the end of the first book, but I don't know if she'll be in Alpha. Like if she's in Alphacore 2 now, I don't know how I'll feel about it, because I do not like the character of Stefania at all so far. She was better in the first book. This book though, she's awful. I don't like her at all. So she's hellbent on killing Yaira now because her grandmother died in the last book, and she's blaming Yaira for that, which I understand. But there's no confliction now. It's it was almost like a confliction. Like she wants to almost be better near the end of the first book. In this book, she's hell-bent and dead set on just killing Yaira. And she is, lashing out at Ingrid and stuff. And I didn't enjoy it. It was annoying. So we'll see how her character progresses. I don't know if she'll be part of Alphacore 2. But I did not enjoy the character of Stefania. And I haven't really at all. I think her history so far is kind of interesting, connected to Yaira and her bloodline and whatnot. But so far, I don't like that character. But my favorite character, of course, still is Magnus Newmite, which I am kind of still conflicted if he's even alive still or not. I'm thinking he might still be dead, but we'll have to see on that. I mean, who knows? We're in a fantastical world. He could just come back in some weird way. I mean, he is a big bug with weird powers, so who knows? But right now, I'm curious about that new antagonist that we kind of got, I think, teased on with these nightmares and stuff with Yaira. So we'll have to see how that goes. That is something that will probably get me in to go and see what's going on there. Maybe Magnus Newmite is alive. I don't know, but I can't say I enjoyed the book that much. I really didn't. I enjoyed Bloodruth more, actually, which was also the Soska Sisters. I enjoyed that one. But this Yaira so far, it's just not my thing. I think that's kind of how it feels for me right now. It's just, it's not working for me. It's not working for me so far. I'm going to keep up with it, see how it goes. And I mean, it's cool to see all these different books from the Rippaverse, and I've been liking some. Some have been okay. Some have been awesome. I love the Horseman. I love Alphacore. But it is what it is. And that's just how I feel about Yaira number 2. And I hope I like book 3. I'm going to check it out for sure. And it did say that we're going to get book 3 at the end of this year. Sometime later this year, maybe. So hopefully that is the case. That'd be awesome to see. But Yaira number 2, not my cup of tea, but maybe it'll be better for me once the story continues and it starts to make more sense, and then it connects with these ones, and maybe I'll start to like the story more going forward with more books. But right now I'm not connecting with it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't check it out. Who knows? But for me, it's not working for me, at least as of yet.